Welcome back. This is KBC Lunchtime News. I'm Njue. Lucy Maura is my colleague on the sign language interpretation. We have a comprehensive and detailed bulletin right here for you, including the latest from the world of sports. And I'm happy as many Arsenal fans, millions in the world, after Arsenal bagged their trophy, that is the English Premier League, after 22 years of trying. That and much, much more, including business. Welcome. We begin in the great county of Tana River, where hundreds of farmers along River Tana in Garissa County are demanding compensation from the government of what they term as years of devastating losses allegedly caused by the release of water from upstream dams. The farmers say repeated flooding has destroyed crops, irrigation systems and livelihoods, leaving many families struggling to survive. During a meeting in Garissa town, the farmers blamed the floods on the release of excess water from the Seven Fork dams, saying the continued destruction has gone on for years without accountability. Led by Mahmoud Sheikh Hassan, the affected communities from Mbalambala to Ijara are now demanding compensation, accountability and permanent solutions to end the persistent flooding along River Tana.
Our farms have been flooded. We've lost our livelihoods, we've lost our food for our families, we've lost income to pay school fees and care for our families. Action on setting other dams has not taken off.
Garissa farmers have suffered a lot, they have persevered a lot. Unfortunately, this is a story of year in, year out, a repetition of every time. And we are not getting any compensation from the concerned authority.
People who are responsible for the dams are causing us this situation. They are releasing the water. There's evidence they are the ones who are releasing the water to us. And there's evidence that these issues are caused by siltation of the dams.
And still on flooding, residents of Darika village in Mandera East constituency are reeling from the devastating effects of flash floods that have swept across the area. The floods, triggered by heavy rains from the Ethiopian highlands as well as ongoing downpours pounding several parts of Mandera County, have displaced families, destroyed crops and cut off key access roads.
The close to 250 families in Darika village in Mandera East constituency were forced to seek shelter in safer areas. Large sections of farmland have been submerged, destroying crops that residents depend on for food and income.
Mheshimiwa Mohamed Adan Khalif na timu yake ambayo wanakaa huko wakuje hapa waone wa observe hii mambo vile mambo inaendelea.
Flooded roads and damaged pathways have made it difficult for learners to access schools, while some families displaced by the floods have been forced to keep their children at home.
So we are requesting both the government, county government and the national government, to at least to come here and survey this place, what's going on in this place. These are young learners, these are Kenyan learners who have right to learn. They were to go to school, but for them to go to school, this dangerous is happening. For them to pass this laka is very dangerous. Even crocodiles are there.
Residents say access to essential services has become nearly impossible as roads connecting the village to nearby centers remain cut. They made an urgent appeal for food and medical supplies, clean drinking water, and temporary shelter for affected families.
And from floods to matters crime, where a 31-year-old woman wanted for the murder of a border rider has been arrested in a joint operation by Kenyan and Tanzanian investigation agencies, having been on the run for over 6 months. Judith Kerubo Nyamongo is alleged to have murdered Peter Motari on 18th November last year at Keonganyo sublocation, in Kisii County. Confirming her arrest at Namanga while attempting to cross into Tanzania, Kisii Central Sub-County Criminal Investigations Officer George Etiang said a stop order had been placed at immigration offices, leading to her arrest.
The guy who was murdered was a border rider by the name Peter Motari. Was around 25 years of age. And the reason why they decided to murder that gentleman is because it is said he assaulted the cousin to Judith Kerubo. She was arrested as she was trying to cross Namanga border to Tanzania. Already there are 2 suspects before court, and there are the 3 remaining. For the 3 who are remaining, we are closing up on them, and in due course we shall also be able to arrest them so that they are all charged with the offense of murder.
Elsewhere, leaders of the Turkana community living in Isiolo County have decried the plight of National Police reservists, especially when they are injured or die when confronting bandits. Speaking in Ngaremara area, Isiolo Deputy Governor Dr. James Lowassa asked Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen to ensure NPR officers benefit from a medical insurance scheme similar to that of regular police officers, and that their immediate families are also compensated in the unfortunate event that they are killed. He added that the ongoing operation in the region have not borne any results yet, as bandits still cross the Wasonyiro River, conduct raids, kill innocent people, and still manage to cross back the river with the stolen livestock.
Kependa vile juzi walipatia askari ya polisi SHA ambayo ni comprehensive. Mtu akifa anapatiwa 1,300. Akiumia anahudumiwa mpaka anapona. Kama mshahara imekataa kukuja, SHA ya kulipia shilingi 7,000 kwa mwaka. Simulipie hawa SHA.
Sisi tunaomba nyinyi kama serikali mchukue jukumu yenu ya kiserikali ya kuhakikisha kwamba mnalinda wananchi na mali yao. Kwa sababu hivi vijana saa hii NPR hata hao imefika mahali ambao umekuwa na uoga, kila siku wanakufa. Kila siku wanakufa.
Silaha haramu inafaa itolewe kote kwa ile mtu ambaye hapo. Ndio area iwe usalama. Hakuna ile ambayo silaha haramu inasemekana hii ni halali. Atuache ichunge mali ya hawa ndio nini, hapana. Jamii ya Turkana si wote si wahalifu. Kuna ule mmoja, ule anawasiliana na wale wengine. But jamii yote kunyanyaswa, kuchukuliwa bunduki, halafu hiyo jamii zingine zinabeba, hiyo ni kuhatarisha.
Still on matter of security, a 16-year-old boy from Kamari, Seikuru, Mwingi Central in Kitui County has embarked on a walk to the governor's office to plead for justice following the recent spate of killings in the area. Gift Mumo dropped out of school at grade 9 owing to the ongoing farmers and camel herders clashes. In the recent past, the area witnessed inter-community fatal attacks that left 7 people dead and others injured.
Days after Kwakamari area Seikuru in Kitui County hit the headlines following escalating inter-community clashes that caused deaths and injuries, a 16-year-old boy from the area has taken an initiative to walk from his village to Kitui town to call for justice.
Kuna watu waliuliwa watu wao, na hao watu waliuliwa wanataka watoto wao wasome. Watasoma aje jameni wa Kenya wenzetu? Walikuja wakachukua news, kila kitu ikatangazwa, lakini hakuna kitu ilileta. Hakuna kitu wameleta huko. Hao watu wanaendelea kuteseka.
Momo is also asking leaders to bring development to the area, including healthcare facilities, electricity and network connectivity.
Watu wakitaka network, huwa anapanda kwa miti tu. Wanapanda kwa miti, na kitu ni serious ya. Kila mtu anajua hakuna stima. Yaani huko watu huko wanakaanga kama wanakaa kichekani. Jameni, Wakenya naongea mimi nikilia sababu hapo ndio kwetu, hapo ndio yani ni kwetu kabisa. Pale unajuanga ni hapo ndio kwenyu. Hapo ndio mimi najua ni kwetu.
6 days after beginning his walk, the teen has reached Mwingi town.
Sasa mimi nimejitoa, natembea mpaka Kitui. Nikienda huko naenda kuambia walete maendeleo huko. Kitu ile yenye naongelelea ikiwa ya mwisho ni hizo ngamia. Zikiingia kwa mashamba yetu tunapaswa kulipa. Sababu ndio tunajua kabisa hiyo ndio mali yetu yenye tunajua. Na majani ya ngamia ndio inataka kutusomesha sisi kama watoto. Na tunataka kupata shunda rate.
The area has been witnessing recurring clashes between farmers and camel herders. Kamchemenza for Lunchtime News.
Police officers from Nanyuki and Narumoru have seized more than 600 rolls and 18 kilograms of bang During a raid at a house in Ishuga area along the Laikipia-Nyeri counties border, 4 suspects were arrested during the operation and are expected to be arraigned in court. Kieni East OCPD David Maina said the operation was launched following a tip-off from members of the public over suspicious activities at the house located near a school. He noted that officers discovered large quantities of bang being processed and packaged for sale in Nanyuki and Narumoru towns. Security agencies have vowed to work together to curb the illicit act.
Tuliweza kuwa na joint operation ya Kieni East Sub-County na Laikipia East, tukiwa kwa chini ya County Police Commander Laikipia, na tukaweza kuingia kwa nyumba ya suspect mmoja. Tulikuwa tumepata information ya kwamba kwa duka yake anauza bangi. Tulifanya inspection kwa hiyo duka, tuliweza kupata misokoto ya bagi 92. Tunatuma warning kwa wale wanafuta bangi ya kwamba tutaendelea na hii joint operation kwa sababu hatutakaa chini kuona ya kwamba mtoto anaadhirika.
Last week wakati tulikuwa tunamwaga pombe, nilikuwa nimesema kwamba tuta extend our operations mpaka Ishuga na upande ule mwingine, na leo tumefanikiwa, tumeweza kupata ile mali ambayo tumeweza kuonyeshana.
And away from matters crime, residents of Busia County have been urged to remain vigilant and cooperate with security agencies in the fight against vandalism and fraud targeting electricity infrastructure. Speaking in Busia town during a public participation exercise, officials from Kenya Power Company, led by Busia manager Kennedy Sendera, raised concern over increasing cases of vandals destroying power installation and conmen masquerading as company employees to defraud unsuspecting customers. They further cautioned members of the public against making illegal electricity connections or giving money to unauthorized persons claiming to facilitate power services, saying all payments should only be made through official companies' channels.
Tungeambia customers wetu ya kwamba kama Kenya Power tuko na zile channels zetu haswa za kulipa pesa. Njia moja kweli tuko na team ya national government ambayo ina deal nao walagai, lakini pia ningetaka kuhimiza ya kwamba jambo lolote ambayo kwa pesa lolote ambayo unataka kulipa kampuni ya Kenya Power, tuko na njia haswa ya kulipa Kenya Power. Usitume pesa kwa mtu binafsi. Mtu akikupigia simu ati anaenda kukata bili yako, mwambie aende akate. Sasa tunahimiza customers wetu tuweze kushirikiana. Ukiona mtu mwenye unamshuku, uko na haki ya kumuuliza.
Very well, today is the International Day of Human Resource Management, and also right here at the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation there is an event to cover that. Let's first of all cross over and listen in.
At the departmental level, without it becoming a whole crisis that needs to come to HR or to elsewhere. So please, let's build the capacity of our line managers so that they can handle our people properly. I'm coming to a close, and this is a challenge now to the leadership of KBC. They say the triple bottom line. It starts with people, planet, then profits. If KBC is going to transform and lead change into an enterprise that is going to be profitable, that is going to transform this nation, then you have to put your people first. When you take care of your people, they will take care of your business. They will take care of everything else that needs to be done, happily so, and this institution is going to transform into a better organization. And I think allow me to leave it at that, and also just take 2 minutes to say who IHRM is. IHRM is a professional body established through an act of parliament. We call it the HRMP Act of 2012. We are a state corporation also under the Ministry of Public Service, and we regulate, we set standards, we provide continuous professional development of HR professionals in this country. And HR is a regulated profession in Kenya. So anybody doing HR
Just an exercise to mark the International Day of Human Resources Management, and of course it's a day that is earmarked to recognize the vital contribution the HR, that's a human resource, professionals make in shaping positive inclusion and people-centric workplaces. We have a more loaded and detailed report in our subsequent bulletin. But elsewhere, residents of Ngomeni area in Magarini Sub-County, Kilifi County, are set to benefit from improved transport and economic growth following the construction of the 12-kilometer Ngomeni-Mjanaheri Road. The multi-million shillings project is expected to boost trade, tourism and access to essential services in the coastal region. Speaking during the inspection of the 560 million project funded through a partnership between the Government of Kenya, the Coast Development Authority CDA and the Italian Agency for Development Cooperation CDA, Chairman Mzee Mwinyi said the road will enhance access to markets, improve movements of goods and services and open up the region for trade, tourism and investment opportunities.
In a total sum, hii barabara ina serve close to 600,000 Kenyans who are living in this region and who are benefiting from the economic benefits that are in this area. One of the biggest economic activities that the road we are handling as Coast Development Authority will improve the business activities that are being done along this region.
Nasi tunashukuru kwa sababu ya kwamba awali hii barabara ilikuwa si barabara. Na mimi nikizaliwa tayari kulikuwa na hiyo scooping sand ambayo ni mchanga ambao umepata kusaidia katika majengo mengi sana katika hii coast nzima. Nataka tumshukuru mtukufu Rais alipoona ya kwamba ni vyema kwamba hii barabara yetu iwe itakamilishwa.
Moving on, government through the National Parliament has been asked to draft a law to combat technology-facilitated sexual violence. Search for Common Ground, a civil society organization in Kwale County, says the current laws do not fully address sexual violence on social media. The call was made during the launch of a project in Mvindeni area to train youth on the use of modern technology. The 17-month initiative is being implemented in 5 counties.
Training imenisaidia sana sababu nimeweza kuelewa jinsi ambavyo mimi kama kijana naweza jihusisha digitally vizuri, na pia naweza wasaidia wale wenzangu kuweza kujiepusha na yale masuala ambayo yanaweza waletea maybe shida ama yanaweza pia wa affect kiubaya katika space ya mtandaoni.
Very well, at about 17 minutes past the top of the hour, time for me and Lucy Moore on the bottom of your screen to take a quick break. But when we come back, I'll run you through a couple of more stories, then we make sense of business, and then we hear from the champions of England. That and much, much more after this break.
Ebu fikirie environment kama hii hapa Western Kenya. Eti mtu atatoka hapa aende Nairobi kusoma university to conquer the world. Mimi Andrew nitahakikisha hiyo ndoto imezimwa. Tazama hayo yote kwa Gundu KBC Tuesday to Thursday 7:30 p.m. Leo sio kesho.
The bottom-up economic transformation agenda is not just a plan on paper.
Manifesto tulioandika na tukauzia Wakenya na wakatupigia kura, sio gazeti ya kufunga nyama.
It is happening on the ground. across Kenya.
Enda subabogi Moriega Jodhurwa untie Mugani Hamjambo.
In agriculture,
Turkana wameamkia mambo ya ukulima sasa.
On our roads,
Lami black anaingia hapa anagausha hapa, wacha bana.
In health,
all our patients are in SHA 100%.
In housing,
kutoka nyumba za mabati kuleta nyumba kama hii ya ghorofa ni kitu ya mzuri sana.
In our markets,
umetukumbuka sisi mama mboga, shida zetu umezitatua,
and so much more.
It's a good thing the government inakuja mashinani na this is all what we have been requesting.
This is transformation. This is impact. This is delivering the plan. Every Friday on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back to KBC Lunchtime News. Moving on, the family of Rachel Mudhoni Wandeto, a gospel singer who succumbed to severe burns following a brutal petrol attack, has condemned the killing and called for speedy investigations into the incident. Rachel is said to have been attacked after declaring support for President William Ruto and getting a tattoo in his honor. Speaking at Kabumbu village in Kirinyaga County, the grieving family urged authorities to ensure those responsible are arrested and arraigned in court so that justice can prevail, while condemning those behind the attack and describing the act as inhumane and painful. The family said they learned of the incident through social media posts. Wandeto's mother, Sarah Njeri, struggled to hold back emotions as she described her daughter as obedient and full of life.
Nila marafiki alipigia simu, aliniambia alishukuru Mungu juu wenye alipigia walisikia ombi lake wakamtumia pesa akapata pesa ambulance. Mimi chenye nasema ni vibaya kuwa unaumiza watu mpaka familia ya watu unaifanya ingia kwa maneno mengine mabaya painful. Juu hiyo kitu ni painful. Venye huyo mtoto wetu alikuwa amechomwa. Alikuwa very painful. Kama serikali hii yetu ya Kenya ningeomba iingilie kati ndio haki ya huyo mtoto ipatikane.
Ni mtoto wetu ambaye ni mtoto alikuwa tunampenda sana. Mtoto alikuwa anapenda wazazi wake sana. Mtoto alikuwa anapenda watu wa familia sana. Hata wale wengine wote. Sijawahi kusikia kitendo chochote Rachel amefanya ati kinatufanya tusirare.
My request is, as the government, may justice prevail so that my daughter will get the justice she deserves. Yes, we are all created by God. And nobody should take somebody else's life.
Indeed, may justice prevail. Moving on, parents and members of the community at Moi Girls Asindo School in Homa Bay County have staged demonstrations to protest the posting of a new principal by the Teachers Service Commission, TSC. They claim that the newly posted principal has a history of poor performance at her previous school. The parents also raised concern over the lack of a substantive deputy principal at the school. Mary Omwanda, the newly posted principal, has however dismissed the allegations, saying she has only been at the school for 2 weeks and that no examinations have been conducted to justify claims of poor performance.
Principal yule tumeletewa hajafika kiwango cha ile anatakana awe. Ya nursery school. Hiyo ndio shida yetu tuko naye hapa Suba.
We are asking TSC to seriously send us 2 substantive deputies who are competent, qualified and have track record for succeeding in making students go to university.
Elsewhere, leaders in West Pokot County are calling on the community to embrace education and take their children to school in large numbers in an effort to reduce and eradicate school dropouts, especially among teenage girls. The call was made during the launch of a bursary program worth over 63 million shillings in Sigor constituency to support vulnerable learners. Speaking at the ACK Canon Prize Secondary School, Tamakal, the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Public Works, Joel Amuroyang, noted that pastoralist communities have for decades exposed young girls to early marriages, a trend that needs to change.
I still want to encourage parents not to use lack of fees or lack of resources to deny opportunities to their children. The girl child who faces a number of challenges. To avoid dropouts, we continue working with the school administration and the government.
Kila mtoto aweze kusaidika kwa fees. Yamaanisha watoto wengi watarudi shule, watoto wengi watakaa shule wenye walikuwa na plan kufukuzwa. Unajua vile uchumi umekaa nje ya Kenya saa hii.
Ametusaidia kwa watoto wetu kusoma, wenye wanaenda university, wenye wako college, wenye wako secondary, wote wanasaidia.
Well, let's now delve into the high fuel prices debate. A section of legislators and Kenyans have raised mixed reactions over the suspected nationwide public transport strike, calling the government to find a long-lasting solution. This as the sector gave the government a 7-day ultimatum for negotiations.
A day after the suspension of the nationwide public transport stalemate, legislators led by Naivasha Member of Parliament Jen Kihara said the concluded nationwide strike, an indication of the hard times Kenyans are facing. She asked the government to suspend capital projects like the affordable housing and use the funds to cushion Kenyans against the high fuel prices.
The affordable houses, those could wait. People have homes, they are sleeping somewhere. Put that money to programs that will help the youth of this country. These are things they can see. These are learned children. Kenya is not the same, where people used to be told what is happening by leaders. These days it's the Kenyans who say because they have knowledge and they can see.
Hatuna matumaini kwa hii serikali kwa sababu zile ahadi zote ambazo rais wetu alikuwa ameahidi wakati tulimchagua, sasa ameenda kinyume nazo. Hasa kama kuongeza gharama ya maisha, vile ameweza kuongeza gharama ya mafuta, na ndiye alikuwa ameahidi kwamba hata nadhani nimesikia imepita kwamba alisema anapunguza gharama ya mafuta.
Separately, residents of Kapsabet town in Nandi County have also urged the government to find a lasting solution to the fuel price hike crisis.
Nimefurahi kwa sababu serikali imeingilia hii maneno, wamesimamisha hii mambo ya maandamano juu kazi ilikuwa imepotea, hakuna pesa. Na wengine tuko na family, wengine tuko na mambo mingi.
Kwamba hii mambo ya mafuta mnalia tu Ruto yako na kisima hapa siko ya kuchimba mafuta. Ruto ana kisima siko ya kuchimba mafuta. Mafuta yanatoka huko nje huko. Na ni dunia mzima. Si ni Kenya peke yake ambayo tunapiga mafuta.
Kwa maoni yangu, serikali mshughulikie mambo ya mafuta. 1 week tusisikie tena mambo ya mgomo, wananchi wako kwa njia. Hiyo 1 week ufanye mweke nguvu kabisa, mafuta iende chini. Ili mwananchi aweze kuikimu ile mahitaji yake.
On Tuesday, the transport sector suspended the 2 days nationwide strike, giving the government a 7 days ultimatum for negotiations. This is after the government lowered the price of diesel by 10 shillings and increased that of kerosene by 38 shillings to avoid fuel adulteration. Kasichana Masha, Lunchtime News.
Very well, time to make sense of shillings and cents in business. Now, family-owned businesses are booming globally, with 43% reporting double-digit sales growth last year, up from 21% in 2021. However, Stanbic Bank East Africa Regional Head of Business and Commercial Banking, Florence Wanja, is calling on family-owned businesses to strengthen trust, governance, cross-border expansion, succession planning, and capital growth capital. Their businesses are key for employment, entrepreneurship, trade, innovation, and wealth creation.
We need to be able to actually bring in the right structures that ensures that these decisions are structured, risks are well managed, and businesses are positioned to endure.
We call Africa infrastructure. You know, what you call the ports, the rails, the airport, the grids. That's not really what infrastructure is in our continent. Actually, it's the family businesses that are connecting the dots of our markets, building on trust, which is what they do very well, and they are also being able to sustain by sacrifice. And we look at over generations, and finally, they are passed down of a legacy to the next generations.
And that insight and knowledge in terms of structure, in terms of trusts, foundations, things that I learned back then are what helped us govern and build the family enterprise to what it is today.
Now, there is a need for stricter monitoring and continuous review of Kenya's agroecology policy to ensure sustainable agricultural transformation as environmental and economic pressures mount. Alice Nyaga, an agricultural engineer at the Ministry of Agriculture, says Kenya's focus on sustainable food production, biodiversity conservation, environmental protection, and nutritious diets is being slowed by challenges such as limited funding.
The National Agroecology Strategy for Food Systems Transformation to Agroecology Goals in efforts to boost food production. The Ministry of Agriculture is developing a monitoring and evaluation framework to track progress and support.
This tool helps, once you've formulated a policy, you're sure that the strategies that you've set out in the policy are going to address the policy problem that you have identified. But once this policy has been approved and then you begin to implement the policy, now you need to analyze it retrospectively and check, are the strategies that we set out back then really helping us to address the problems that were identified at the time.
Speakers at the three-day forum emphasized on the need for stakeholder capacity building and
how the environment changes, how it affects our policy options.
Researchers underscored the need to review policies to ensure that they evolve with changing environmental and economic conditions such as climate change, drought, soil degradation, and population growth.
Policies normally don't work alone. They work with other guiding documents. For example, the implementation frameworks, the monitoring and evaluation frameworks, the strategies in place.
The new tool tracks farmer awareness, funding, and scientific compliance to ensure policies remain effective.
There is need for stricter monitoring and continuous review of Kenya's agroecology policy to ensure sustainable agricultural transformation as environmental and economic pressures mount. Alice Nyaga, an agricultural engineer at the Ministry of Agriculture. I think we have taken that story, but let's get more.
Hello and welcome to this special interview. We are at Microsoft Africa, and here we did have the privilege of talking to Winnie Karanu, who is the AI Skills Director at Microsoft Africa. What are we talking about? We're talking about AI, and we're talking about AI diffusion, which involves affordability, connectivity, devices, including the local language, which fits within the local context of AI in this economy. Do take a look. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Winnie Karanu, the Skills Director at Microsoft Africa. We begin with this first question. Tell our viewers why AI fluency must start with leadership and extend across the workforce.
So leaders normally set the tone in a company or in an organization, but most as well, they are the ones who align business goals with any other technology adoption, and I think that's why it's critical. They're also the ones who determine culture and change management, and if you're able to really ensure that if you're going to be able to drive AI adoption across the organization, leaders need to be at the forefront of that.
And also, talk to us about the risks involved with adopting AI without the right skills, the right mindset, and the right governance.
I think one of the risks is obviously we're already seeing that a lot of people are already using AI. One, of course, is definitely the data leaks. If you're not having a guidance around how to use AI in the workplace, then probably your data is being uploaded into different AI tools and then being used for different purposes as well. So from a skills perspective, I think one of the challenges is that if different people don't know how to use technology at different levels, we normally look at the leadership level. Do they have the right level of knowledge and understanding around what AI is and what it means for their business and their sector? Same with the different users in the organization, but also the developers and the ones who are creating or innovating within the organization. So all of them need to be considered as you're thinking about an AI strategy within your organization. The risks with different levels of skill set means that one, there's not a clear strategy around what AI means for the organization. Two, when it comes to understanding how then should we regulate on the governance side, it's very important that the leaders actually define how AI will be used, to what level, who will use it, using what functions and what it means for their business. Because AI can accelerate productivity, but also at the same time it has its own risks, and making sure that they are protected as well. The organization is protected in as much as it wants to experiment and use AI is very critical. So being able to define what those ethical practices will look like within the organization is critical. Then the third piece is on mindset. I think on the mindset side, which is more on the culture side, is how do you ensure that people are understanding the opportunities in using AI in their work, and what can they do to be able to, for example, increase productivity or innovate new products. So building that culture of learning and continuous learning, I think, will be important, so that as new technologies come, then that means also the company also has the right visibility and understanding of these technologies. But also when it comes to experimentation, really being able to actually reward that experimentation, giving that time for people to experiment with these technologies will be critical.
How can organizations actually move from experimental AI to actual impact-driven AI in this sector? Companies can move from experimentation. I think one, as I already mentioned, having that strategy around what does AI mean for us, what can it do within the organization, and how do we want to actually optimize that? Is it in terms of improving productivity? It could be in terms of innovating new products. Companies can move from experimentation to impact by, one, I think defining that governance framework. I think it's critical. Two, of course, investing. So really having it as a strategy within their company that AI will be something that they want to explore and invest in, and how do they actually do that meaningfully within the organization. And then number three, I think already in terms of the skill set capabilities, but also being able to identify use cases that actually add value to the organization. If you're able to kind of identify one or two areas where it either reduces costs or increases productivity, being able to test it and see how it's being used, and then rolling it out across the organization can really help that impact to be seen, and then being able to measure that over time to see, is it actually helping us? Because yes, the investments are high, but is it actually helping us to move the needle forward when it comes to innovation, or it comes to productivity, or even in terms of saving time or money within the organization? Perhaps you can also indulge our viewers who are actually interested in this technology and tell them, what is the role of skills development in positioning Kenya as a force in the global AI economy?
Yeah, so World Economic Forum did a study, and AI is actually one of the top skills to learn in 2026. And I think the opportunity here is to be able to think about how does AI actually impact our economy as Kenya. Labor is generally an input of production, and if you're really thinking about how do we position Kenya to be nationally competitive, we have a huge young population that is also looking for opportunities. So if you're able to make sure that everyone is AI literate or AI fluent, and then being able to think about what other deeper skill set can we build around that technology. So when you think about from developers to researchers, and how do we position our economy to be more competitive. So thinking about, like, for example, the impact in agriculture or in finance or in healthcare, in education, how do you make sure that it's also cutting across those different sectors and really ensuring that you can be able to leverage technology, not only from learning from it, but also using it for increasing productivity or even in terms of improving the output of those different sectors.
What are some of these skills that individuals must prioritize to remain relevant in the future of work?
So when I think about skills, I also kind of think about, of course, we try to learn skills to be able to access jobs or opportunities. And I think about jobs also as a list of tasks that we need to be able to deliver on. And if we're able to kind of break down those tasks into maybe 3 main categories. So one is in terms of what can AI actually automate? What are the things that AI can do really well when it comes to repetitive tasks and routine tasks that potentially most people don't enjoy? Then the things you can do with AI, right? And so what are those things that you can actually, so it could be on brainstorming, could be in terms of testing your assumptions. It could be in terms of you being able to problem solve or critically think. So using AI to be able to help you to do all those different creativity as well. How do you ensure that you're able to do so? But the third one is also in terms of the tasks that generally you'd never be able to delegate to AI. So this is like the human interaction. It could be on communication. It could be on consensus building. It could be on, so all those things that are more human-led or human enabled. And then there are other skills that AI can never do, for example, in terms of those human interactions. It could be on consensus build, it could be in terms of, communication and being able to physically communicate or physically interact. So how then relationship building, for example, or building trust. So some of these things that are not able to do so. So once you're able to look at it in those particular ways, then you're able to look at your current opportunity or job and see where can AI automate, and if maybe AI is already automating 90% of that role, then what skill set can you start building? For the ones that are in the middle, I think that's where working with AI becomes critical. So I think that's how I'm encouraging people to think about it. One, definitely working with AI, being able to continuously build your domain expertise, because either way, if you're working with AI as well, you have to be able to test its assumptions. Sometimes it hallucinates, sometimes it's overly positive, as people say. So making sure that you're able to kind of critique the work that AI will bring as an output for you to be able to enhance the output that it has. And then finally, in terms of being able to really build on those, what we are calling human skills in the age of AI. So the creativity, the problem solving, the communication, the curiosity, the critical thinking, as I mentioned, so that to be able to kind of continuously, build on these other skill sets as well. In terms of programs that we're driving in Kenya that are critical in terms of thinking about one position in Kenya as a digital hub, we did launch the Kenya AI Skilling Alliance, and I think that continues to be a platform where, one, we are driving that capability in terms of that AI fluency across all levels. So not only just users, but also thinking about developers or researchers. Two is in terms of how do we connect the skill set to the opportunities. So one, in terms of existing workforce, but also the future workforce. And so how do you ensure that whatever it is that you're training on is actually enhancing opportunities in the market? And then the third piece is in terms of ecosystem coordination. I think no one can do it alone. And how do we ensure that you can bring in the right partnerships and opportunities? So one, being data-driven. So we're working a lot in terms of, there are many organizations that are driving skilling. How do we all come together, align in terms of the outcomes that you're trying to achieve, but also being able to track progress. So when it comes to who are we training, where are we training them, at what level, and what is the outcomes of those trainings, I think would really help us to be able to ensure that we're not leaving anyone behind, but also we're investing in the right areas as well. And already we're seeing a lot of progress in that, even from a policy perspective. I just came from a conference with the Kenya National Qualification Authority, and one of the conversations we're having is micro-credentials. And micro-credentials will actually be a critical part of AI fluency, because you want to make sure that whatever you're training on is actually being recognized by an employer, or even when it comes to labor mobility. And so how do you ensure that whatever it is that you're putting together as what we call AI fluency is actually being translated to our own curriculums within the education system, but also as well as being recognized locally, but also abroad. In terms of partnerships, I think, as I mentioned, no one can do this alone. And so what we've been trying to do in Kenya is, one, thinking about institutionalization. How do we work with the organizations that have been mandated to drive these different types of training to the audiences that you're targeting? So, for example, in education, partnering with the Teacher Service Commission to deliver training to teachers. So, one, we are kind of co-defining what that training will look like, co-creating the training that we're delivering, but also making sure that it's actually being aligned to the professional development of the teacher, and making sure that the training is actually recognized as part of the professional development of the teacher. Then number two, we're also working with NEC and a couple of other partners like Canva, Raspberry Pi, to be able to drive coding in schools. And I think that's also critical as we're thinking about AI. How do we kind of start getting students excited about the technology, start experimenting, start seeing how they can start solving problems using that technology. So we're working with Team Labs and all these different partners to be able to, in different schools, they have over 100 coding clubs, and those coding clubs are enabling us to be able to reach the teachers, but also get the students excited about this technology as well. And we'll be actually driving a challenge from June, where we'll be inviting a lot of the students to participate in that challenge. So we're partnering with the International Organization of Employers and the Federation of Kenya Employers to be able to drive AI fluency within the employer ecosystem as well. Once they understand and they see the opportunities, we're hoping that also it will start creating opportunities for more young people to be able to be hired with the AI skill set that they need as well. UNDP, UNESCO, the government of Kenya, so different agencies within the government, like Kenya School of Government, the Public Service Commission, the Ministry of ICT and Digital Economy, to deliver training for public servants. And already we've trained over 30,000 public servants already on AI fluency. And I think we're working towards building that capability across the different, not only just from a fluent perspective, but also from a developer and research perspective as well. And very excited about the opportunity to also continue partnering with other organizations as well in being able to drive this forward.
Thank you so much for coming to speak to us here today about this very vital conversation on AI skilling.
And thank you for having me, Alan. Thank you for being also a partner in being able to drive that AI awareness, and so looking forward to continue to work with you.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
AI Skills Director at Microsoft Africa, Winnie Karanu, thank you so much for this interview. We do hope that you enjoyed the talk on AI-driven economy here in Kenya, even as the country looks to take off in that direction. My name is Alan Naoko. Until next time, goodbye for now.
Very well, and after that candid conversation on AI skilling by Alan Aoko, our tech reporter, we are now switching gears to matters sports. And a big smile now. Arsenal clinched the English Premier League title for the first time in 22 years after Manchester City were held to a 1-1 draw by Bournemouth last night. Eli Junior Kopi's colour before the end of the first half put the Gunners in charge before. Very well played and very well deserved. So Arsenal, we are champions, or as they say in Spanish, campeones. Moving on, Basco Paints has officially launched the Duracoat Golf Masters Series 2026, a premier national golf circuit aimed at growing the game of golf in Kenya, nurturing emerging talent, and also strengthening the country's sporting ecosystem. The Golf Masters Series, 2026, will feature 12 qualifying tournaments hosted across selected premier golf clubs in Kenya, with golfers allowed to compete in up to 3 qualifying events. The events will officially tee off on Friday this week at various clubs across the country, which include, among others, Vet Lab Sport Club, Nakuru Golf Club, Nanyuki Sports Club, Karen Country Club, Ruiru Sports Club, Nyanza Sports Club, and Nyali Country Club. The grand finale will be held on the 28th of November at Mount Kipipiri Golf Club. Speaking during the launch, Basco Paints Managing Director Mr. Kamlesh Shah described the series as a strategic platform designed to promote sportsmanship, competitiveness, youth empowerment, and talent development through a structured and inclusive national golf circuit.
It is a huge tournament for golfers, a huge tournament, of course, and a huge proud moment for all of us to be able to launch and to mute such an event.
We look forward when we have the budget ready for developing the curriculum in school, that we can work together with them in this journey going forward and giving back to the society.
Swimmers at Visa Dolphin Swim Club have stepped up preparations for intense training sessions aimed at sharpening speed, endurance, and technique ahead of the Kiambu Aquatic Invitational Championship under the guidance of head coach Japheth Onkoba. The swimmers have been undergoing rigorous morning and evening drills focusing on race pace, turns, and team coordination as they seek to make a strong impression at the championship. Coach Onkoba expressed confidence in the squad's readiness, noting that the athletes have shown commitment and discipline throughout the training period. Very well, that's where we put a cap on KBC Lunchtime News this Wednesday afternoon. Many thanks indeed for joining us. On behalf of everyone, the great team that made this broadcast a success, thank you for joining us. I'm Njue. Lucy Mwaura has been my colleague on the sign language interpretation. More of this news in our subsequent bulletin, but don't forget to check out our social media spaces for this and much, much more. Do have yourself a blessed afternoon.
Hello, fabulous ladies. Welcome to the talk show that's all about sisterhood, empowerment, and unfiltered conversation. We will be focusing on women. We believe in women.
We are really changing.
We are creating